Would view some of the comments from this suspect. The suspect said he was upset about Black Lives Matter. He said he was upset about the recent police shootings. The suspect said he was upset at white people. The suspect stated he wanted to kill white people, especially white officers. The suspect stated we will eventually find the IEDs. The suspect stated he was not affiliated with any groups, and he stated that he did this alone.
And
seems to be shooting from a different angle.
yes, he's shooting. You can tell.
The person shooting the video is up on the rooftop.
Obviously, they get
Shoots a fire. He comes around the pillar.
Yes, it's obvious that the person's inside was unaware that the other person was there at that time. We don't know if one of these.
The suspect said other things that are part of this investigation so that we can make sure that everyone associated with this tragic event is brought to justice. So as the mayor said, we won't expand on any further on what other suspects we have interviewed or looked at or their status until we get further into this investigation and get closer to a conclusion of what or who are all involved.
We are live for our viewers in the West with that grim news from Dallas. A horrifying scene overnight. Deadliest attack on law enforcement since 9/11. One of the many peaceful protests against police shootings took a fatal turn.
As we come on in the West, this is what we know at this hour. Police say at least 12 officers, 2 protesters, one of them a mother who was there with her children, were shot. 5 officers have been killed. 3 suspects are currently in custody, another one killed by a police bomb. The Dallas police chief say the suspect told them he was upset about the recent police shootings.
That's right. He said he wanted to kill white people, especially white officers. And there you see officers standing guard outside Parkland Hospital, saluting those who lost their lives, protecting the injured as well. And this morning, Dallas is reeling. This is the front page of the Dallas Morning News.
Ambush. You're looking at the aerials of the scene. Buildings in Dallas on lockdown all morning long. Flights temporarily restricted over the city of Dallas.
The city is still considered an active crime scene. ABC's Philip Mena is in Dallas with the latest. Good morning, Philip.
George, good morning. This city is in shock. It started out as a peaceful protest, but it turned into a targeted attack on police officers, the deadliest in this city's history. Dallas's mayor simply saying, "Our worst nightmare has happened." No justice, no peace. At 6 p.m., hundreds gathered peacefully in downtown Dallas to protest the 2 recent fatal police shootings of black men. Some protesters even taking photos with Dallas PD, showing their solidarity. Then at 8:45, just a mile from City Hall, shots ring out. Officers scramble to secure the scene,
Shots fired.
moving protesters out of harm's way.
The president's car is now turning onto Elm Street, and it will be only a matter of minutes before he arrives at the trademark. I was on Stemmons Freeway earlier, and even the freeway was jam-packed with spectators waiting their chance to see the president as he made his way towards the trademark. It appears as though something has happened in the motorcade route. Something, I repeat, has happened in the motorcade route. Stand by.
The shots grow louder. A sniper firing on police from an elevated position in El Centro College. Patrick Cooper took this video from inside the college.
Is somebody shooting?
Police tried to negotiate with the shooter. He tells them he was upset about the recent police shootings in Minnesota and Baton Rouge.
The suspect said he was upset at white people. The suspect stated he wanted to kill white people, especially white officers. The suspect stated we will eventually find the IEDs. The suspect stated he was not affiliated with any groups, and he stated that he did this alone.
As the shooter refused to back down, the cops send in an explosive robot.
We saw no other option but to use our bomb robot and place a device on its extension for it to detonate where the suspect was. Other options would have exposed our officers to grave danger. The suspect is deceased as a result of detonating the bomb.
Earlier in the night, a witness captured this chilling video on the sidewalk of a gunman firing at a police officer. The shooter misses twice before killing the officer.
We got a guy with a long rifle. We don't know where the hell he's at.
The Dallas police chief calling it an ambush against law enforcement. Bystanders also caught in the carnage.
And right as she started to run, she caught a bullet in the back of her right calf. She immediately jumped on top of one of her sons.
Teresa Williams telling us that her sister, Shatamia Taylor, at the rally to protest peacefully with her 4 sons, was shot in the leg while trying to shield her boys. She's recovering in the hospital.
So all she keeps saying is, my prayers go out for the families of the cops that have lost their lives.
The intensive manhunt for the snipers paralyzing this city. Reports of possible bombs planted by the shooters causing panic. 3 suspects taken into custody. 14 people shot, including 12 officers. 5 killed, including 43-year-old officer Brent Thompson. The city's mayor calling the shooting heartbreaking.
I ask everybody to focus on one thing right now, and that is our Dallas police officers, their families, those that are deceased, those that are in the hospital, fighting for their lives. Let's all come together and support our police officers.
County offices and many businesses have closed downtown this morning as police officers have closed off a large section of this area as the investigation gets underway.
We're going to get more on who did the shooting and why from our senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas and former FBI Special Agent Brad Garrett. And Brad, let me talk to you first. The suspects in custody aren't talking much and the police aren't talking much about them, but we did learn a fair amount about the shooter who was killed by the police. Said he wanted to kill white people, especially white officers, said he acted alone, but it sounded that the police chief is not convinced that that's true.
I think, George, the problem is he just doesn't know that the only real suspect that they have is the actual shooter that they ultimately killed a few hours ago. Are the 3 people in custody, are they directly related to him? We don't really know. You know, what happens is people get scooped up when these things happen, and they may or may not have any involvement in the shooting. We'll have to see. But, you asked me something earlier today about could this have been a lone shooter, and the answer clearly is yes. The idea when you're in an elevated cover and concealment and it's dark, it takes several minutes just to figure out where you might be. So during that time period, to shoot 10, 12, 15 people, you could do all of that in probably a minute or two in reality because you had the time to do it.
Okay, Brad. And Pierre Thomas, we do have those statements from the shooter. He wanted to kill white officers. That gets the Justice Department involved as part of a civil rights investigation on top of everything that's being done in Dallas.
George, this appears to be a racially motivated killing spree targeting police. That according to the suspect himself, who was killed by the police. And there, as you said, 3 other suspects, a woman detained in a garage, and 2 suspects who fled the scene at a high rate of speed. As Brad said, they're being tight-lipped. We don't know if they're really part of the plot. It's still a very fluid situation, but police around the country are taking no chances. Many departments are now on alert. They need to know if this is something bigger, George.
Yeah, for example, we see in Boston now the police chief saying that all his officers are supposed to go out in pairs.
Exactly. Even if this was a isolated plot, there clearly are feelings out there based on those horrific videos that we saw involving black men being killed by police, that other people might have ill will toward police as well. That has to be factored in, George.
Okay, Pierre Thomas, Brad, thanks very much.